Hello there, friends and sane persons. It's Wednesday again, so welcome back for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. I'm Kyle, and if it's your first time joining, or even if it's not, Wednesday Whimsy is a short show that I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game or a board game-related topic, top 10 lists, sometimes a game review, kind of general thoughts, whatever I'm in the mood for. And yeah, it usually takes about 20-25 minutes. We'll see, obviously. Today, so last week I talked about a game that I really like, one of my top 5 favorite games, Spirit Island. And as I mentioned in last week's episode, in Spirit Island, you've got a bunch of different spirits that you're going to play as. And there are quite a lot of them, and I've played the game a lot of times and have some thoughts over sort of which ones are my favorites. And so I thought it might be fun to run through my personal top 10 favorite spirits in terms of, well, I guess I'll talk about how I picked them and why. And then, I don't know, if you're ever playing Spirit Island and you see them, you might think and remember and think, aha, I've heard about that one. I don't know. It's just for fun. But anyway, we're going to talk about 10 spirits, and let's get it started. All right, my number 10 spirit is a spirit called Heart of the Wildfire. I'm going to show you here. Well, I guess I can show you the back here. You've got the artwork. Heart of the Wildfire is, as you can see, on each spirit on the back, it tells you sort of, what it's good at. And the wildfire is shockingly very aggressive and offensive. So what this spirit does is it's trying to burn everything down. As I mentioned when we talked about the game, there are these blight tokens, which are generally bad. And Heart of the Wildfire has abilities that are going to put them out more frequently, but then also use them to its advantage. It really wants to get a lot of fire. That's sort of its symbol of choice, its element of choice. And many of its cards and powers are going to relate to fire. And what it really will do is every time it puts presence on the board, it's going to do damage to the invaders and the land in the spaces that it reaches into. So it's able to really reach out, burn through the bad guys pretty quickly, but also it does so at the risk of running out of blight, which also ends the game and ends the game in a loss. So you've got to be kind of careful with it. It's definitely not going to sit back and play passive, but it's really an interesting one. One of its cards is called Threatening Flames, and with Threatening Flames, what you're going to do is you're going to gain a lot of fear if you're able to surround the invaders with fire. And remember, fear is a way sort of to progress the end game and work towards your victory. So that's a spirit I really enjoy. It's very aggressive, very in your face, probably not as beginner friendly as some of the other spirits. But hey, that's my number 10. Let's go on to number 9. My number 9 is essentially the opposite of Heart of the Wildfire. It is a very passive spirit. It is, I guess we'll see what it is. Here we go. It's called a Spread of Rampant Green. And you'll see, it sort of specializes in defense. And what Rampant Green is going to be doing is it's going to grow faster than any other spirit, practically. It's able to place its power tokens out up to 2 each turn, which can really be quite big. It has sort of an every turn growth power, and then it gets to select another one. So you can kind of really get out there, and then you're able to destroy these tokens and prevent the invaders from doing things. For example, you can prevent them from attacking in a space or prevent them from building in a space. It's really, that's kind of how it is, right? And it's even got power cards that are going to allow other players to sort of spread their stuff a little bit more quickly, or obviously, spread your own stuff more quickly. So it's all about spreading around. It definitely specializes in forests and in wetlands. It has a harder time growing into the deserts and the mountains, but it's all about controlling what's going to happen. And so, you can sort of plan, okay, this turn I'm able to get so much of my presence out, I'll be able to survive this turn by just destroying one. And then it also has the ability that it can pull those presents back after they've been destroyed, which most of the other spirits can't do. So it's a really interesting spirit here. It's all about growth and control and timing when things are going to happen. One that I really enjoy playing with. And like I said, kind of the opposite of Heart of the Wildfire. My number 9, A Spread of Rampant Green. Let's go on to my number 8. My number 8, if you've learned the game with me, it's very likely that one of us played as this spirit, because it and the next one I'm going to talk about, my 8 and 7, are kind of my default teaching spirits. So this one is called Vital Strength of Earth. You can see there, it's a low complexity, very high on defense. Oops, I'm hiding the artwork there. And it's basically a huge rock monster. I kind of like that concept. But what it does, it's very defensive. So it's able to put its tokens out, and wherever it has sites of power, which are 2 tokens stacked on top of each other, those count as defense. So when the invaders attack, it's going to block a lot of that attack. It's going to block 3 damage every turn just by kind of being there. So it's able to sort of give the natives a chance to strike back and sort of slow down the attacks of the invaders. It's not very good at destroying the invaders. It's a very passive spirit. You're going to have to go through the power deck and try and get better cards if you're going to try to be more offensive, or pair it with a more offensive spirit. It's also really good at collecting energy, which is, of course, the currency you use to play the cards. It's not going to play very many. You can see sort of here's its track. It's going to play only 1 card per turn for a while, and then at most 4. But it's going to have lots of energy. Also, its innate powers are going to allow it to repeat other powers. So it's able to, if you're able to get a good ability, you can let another player do it. If another player has a really good power, you can repeat it, and so you're able to kind of borrow from what other people are doing. Or if you're playing by yourself, you can kind of do it for yourself. So it's all about slowing things down, defending, sort of giving you a breather. It has lots of its sort of innate cards are all about making the invaders stagnant. What is it called? A year of perfect stillness. The invaders skip all actions in one region. So you're able to slow things down, regroup, and gain a lot of energy, which will be useful. It'll kind of stall things so that other players are able to kind of pick up the slack and go out and attack. So that's my number 8, the Vital Strength of Earth. And then we're going to talk here about my number 7 in just a moment. So as I mentioned, my number 7 is the other one that I often teach with. I pair these two together because they complement each other nicely. And this is Lightning's Swift Strike. So Lightning Swift Strike is one of the very basic spirits, one of the 4. This and Vital Strength were actually 2 of the training spirits that were suggested by the base game. And it is all about making things fast. It's about a big turn. And as you can see, it, unlike other spirits, it has just a really long track for energy. And it's going to be a low energy spirit. It's going to have a lot of trouble getting energy to play big cards just because it takes so long to build up. But really what its ability is, it's sort of key, is its special ability here, which enables it to make powers fast. So most of its powers are technically slow, but however many of this air symbol the spirit has, it's for each one, it's able to make one of its powers fast. And it also has one card, this the Lightning's Boon card, where it's able to gift that to another player and let them play 2 of their slow powers quickly. And this is big. It's bigger than maybe it seems, because usually the slow powers are really big punches, whereas the fast powers are kind of little chip attacks, if you can think of it like that. And so if you're able to make a really powerful ability happen before the invaders act, that can really be a game changer. So that's kind of what lightning's about. Its sort of disadvantage is that unlike most of them, it when it reclaims its hand of cards, it isn't able to spread presence. So if it has a big turn or two, it's then going to have to use a slow turn to kind of pick up and regroup and gather strength for another big turn in the future. It's really good at destroying things, obviously, because it's lightning, but it's I want to see it kind of matches my my fez for today. But it's a good one because it showcases a different style of play than Vital Strength of Earth, and those two really pair together well. So a spirit that I really like to play with, even though it's one of the most basic ones, Lightning's Swift Strike. Now let's move on to something a little bit less straightforward with my NumberSix. So as I mentioned, NumberSix is not straightforward at all. This is from the Jagged Earth set. It's the first one we're going to see from Jagged Earth, which was a really good set. Um, and that spirit is Starlight Seeks Its Form. So one thing you can see is that its complexity here is very high, and on all these indicators, it's all question mark. And that's because Starlight Seeks Its Form is the most malleable spirit. You're able to sort of customize the things you want it to do well at and customize the powers and abilities it has. And so you can really use it as a tool for whatever you want it to. It's going to fit really well with anything. It gets to pick 3 growth powers each turn. And then as it sort of, but it has to unlock these growth powers, these lower ones, if it wants to do those things. And so it's all about kind of developing this flexibility, providing the right tool at the right time. It's a really interesting spirit. It's definitely not one I would give to a new player just because, you know, looking at it, there's a lot going on there, obviously, and you won't necessarily know you won't necessarily know what you're going to be doing with it. I also really like that it has these element abilities. So when it uncovers those, it can choose the element it's going to get. That star symbol doesn't exist in the game. It's just going to be a wild element that it then has for the rest of the game, that it can kind of evolve and decide what it's going to be doing. And so, you know, you're going to want to get some new cards and figure out how to customize those and fit them into the game that you're currently playing and make sure that it's the right tool at the right moment. And because it's so flexible and malleable, it always has the ability to do so. So I really enjoy it. Again, it's one that is a bit more heady to play just because you can't look at it and immediately see, okay, this is what it recommends that I do. It requires a lot more control, but that can be a lot of fun, especially if you've played a lot and really understand how the game works. Oh, I didn't even put its name on. Starlight Seeks Its Form is really an interesting and very flexible spirit. So let's move on to number 5. My number 5 is one of 2 spirits that plays with a significant restriction. And I quite like those, actually. I think they're really fun. This is also from Jagged Earth. This is Volcano Looming High. So it's this huge volcanic spirit that lives in the mountains. And, you know, it says it's moderate complexity and it's very offensive because it's a volcano, kind of like the fire. But sort of the key to this one is that it can only ever place its presence in the mountains. So it's Tennessee Mountain Home, or just says Mountain Home. And so that means it's not able to go everywhere. That automatically cuts out some abilities which require you to be, you know, in certain places. But it kind of makes up for it by kind of being able to spew lava out of this volcano and spread it around and just do tons and tons of destruction. That's really all it's about, right? When it's able to do its explosive eruption, or then it's going to really destroy a lot. It can do damage and damage and damage and really gain a lot of fear, which is going to sort of propel you towards the end game. It's a very interesting spirit. It's not easy to use. It's just because you really have to be planning on where you want everything to happen, and you might find that you're not able to do things just because you are restricted in, excuse me, in what you, in where you can go. Now, it does have exaltation of molten stone, which enables it to, well, if you're playing by yourself, enables it to target itself and attack farther away. But you can also give that to someone else and enhance their power as well, or sorry, their distance as well. A really fun spirit. It can be very challenging, although the mountains are usually fairly central. So you're usually able to reach a lot more than maybe you would think. But it does, oh, it looks like I keep forgetting to, to put the banner up. But Volcano definitely does challenge your ability to plan. And then it's all about really building up, kind of like lightning, to a big turn where you're able to just dump lava everywhere and destroy all of the invaders around that mountain. So a lot of fun. It makes you feel really powerful if you're this huge volcanic spirit. Anyway, that's my number 5, Volcano Looming High. Let's go on now to my number 4. So number 4 was originally my number 1 when I first played the game. Just because I like how it works. I'll put the name on here. It's Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares. It is a high complexity spirit, as you can see. And as you can also see, its main strength is in fear, right? The Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares is all about fear. In fact, it's not able to use its powers to destroy things. When it would destroy a building, it's going to gain fear instead. And then it can kind of move that building around. So it's all about positioning, but it's never really going to be able to destroy anything directly. And that can be a severe handicap if you don't manage it well, because being able to destroy the invaders and remove them from the board can be really key to how you can win, and more importantly, how you can manage things. But what it can do is get more fear more quickly than anyone else. And so what that's going to do is it's going to get you these fear cards, which are always good. And they're also going to advance the end game triggers, the winning triggers, to make it a little bit easier for everyone else to win. So it definitely works better with others if you can manage, if you're playing with somebody else who can actually control and do actual damage. But even if you're playing it solo, it can be a lot of fun. Just sort of, you're forced to play a little bit differently in order to get this fear. And fear is my favorite part of the game anyway. I love things that cause fear. So I quite like this picture. The Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares, probably not for your first time, but I believe it was in the base set. So it's been around for a long time. A lot of fun. Something I'm always keen to try. My number 4, The Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares. All right, we're getting now into the top 3. So let's start with number 3. Number 3 is another spirit that's kind of like the volcano in that it has a geographical restriction. And this is the Ocean's Hungry Grasp. So it's a high complexity spirit. I tend to like those. And its sort of unique piece is it makes the ocean spaces on the board. So it can inhabit the ocean spaces and it can pull invaders into the ocean. And when it does so, it's able to turn them into energy to sort of feed its future powers and goals in the game. So you're going to be sort of luring people to the coastline, then either destroying them there by sending tidal waves, or luring them or grabbing them and pulling them into the ocean and devouring them for energy. Now, all that magic, of course, comes with a price. And that price is that you can't ever place your presence other than on the coast. You can place it in the ocean and on the coastlines, which means that there's several regions of the board that you won't be able to affect unless you are able to increase your distance or get powers that are able to move at a larger distance. So that's kind of the trade-off. You've got great power, but you've got a few significant restrictions that are going to really change the way that you play the game. And it's kind of funny, right? When you're playing with ocean, you'll notice that usually at the end of the game, there's like this clean strip along the coast, and then there's blight and invaders and all kinds of things inland, away from the ocean and its fury. A lot of fun here. One that I just always enjoy playing because of the way that it changes the game up. Not easy, but definitely my second most played spirit. We'll talk about my most played spirit in a moment, but one that I really enjoy. Ocean's Hungry Grasp. All right, 2 more to go. Let's go on to number 2. Number 2 is another Jagged Earth spirit, and as soon as I played it, I knew I was going to love it. It is the Shroud of Silent Mist. Yeah, look at this thing. It's very creepy. It's some mist monster, but this is kind of a decay spirit. I really enjoy how it works. So it plays just like any other spirit. It's high complexity again, of course. But its thing is, so normally after you damage something at the end of the round, if you didn't destroy it, it heals. All damage is removed. And what Shroud of Silent Mist is about is taking that away. Nothing heals. If its presence is in a region, nothing will heal. It keeps the damage. So you're able to stack on damage turn to turn. And you think, okay, unfortunately, damaged things still attack. They still count as being on the board. So you got to be careful with that and don't keep too much around. But it has this slow and silent death ability, which is that when at the end of the round, you're going to gain 1 fear for each land that you have that has a wounded invader in it. And so you're also going to gain extra energy for doing that, 1 energy for every 3 lands that have it. So it's able to gain a lot of fear. It's sort of incentivizing you to not finish things off. And it works really well with Spread of Rampant Green. Rampant Green it has abilities that will damage things, but it's very hard to destroy with those things. And so if you're able to combine these two and have Rampant Green do the damage and then have Shroud of Silent Mist keep that damage from turn to turn, then you're able to sort of suck all the fear out of the sickness and the slow and silent death that that Mist is using, and then also maybe come in for the KO blow the next turn with Rampant Green. Those two work really well together. In general, I just really like again, anything that's going to change up the puzzle a little bit. And as you've kind of seen, all the spirits kind of do that in their own way. These are some that really do it in a way that I enjoy. I also love the kind of creepy artwork that we've got there, but it's really fun to play with. A little bit, harder, just because you really have to be mindful of positioning, and you're, again, kind of like Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares. You're not going to be able to rely on killing things if you want to play to your best, to your strengths. So it's definitely an interesting one. And my second favorite one, which is, of course, the Shroud of Silent Mist. So now let's go on to number 1. So my number 1 spirit is my most played spirit. And I looks like I forgot to write the banner here, so I won't be showing the banner, unfortunately. It is the Serpent Slumbering Beneath the Island. So this is some great living beneath. It's asleep. It's dormant. It's high complexity here, and it's a utility spirit. I don't know what that means. I guess it's useful in different contexts. It doesn't specialize in any one thing. It's definitely a slow spirit because it has to wake up, and it has these weird intersecting presence tracks. So it's going to, like, you've got these bonuses over here, and you can take them. But you can't take this bonus until you've unlocked all the ones before it. And this is really the turning point, because once you get past there, you're getting a ton of power, a ton of card plays, and you're going to be able to access these abilities, which enable you to do more damage or spread your presence more quickly. It's balanced, of course, by the time it takes to get there, but it can be really satisfying when that turn finally rolls around and your serpent wakes up in anger. The serpent rouses in anger, that's the name of the power, and just devours everything. It also has the ability that it needs to suck presence from other spirits. And so it has some abilities that it has this card here, the Absorb Essence card, where it's going to take another ability. It's going to take somebody else's presence token, and that's going to fuel its other abilities. It's going to enable it to defend better. It's going to enable it to do more things, to get more energy. Really interesting. And obviously, if you're playing by yourself, it has to eat its own energy, which is, the serpent eating its tail, I guess. But it's really interesting. And if ever I'm trying a new scenario, or I just want to sit down and play Spirit Island, I mean, I know Spirit or Serpent really well, and so it's kind of my go-to one, just sort of to experience the game and figure it without necessarily needing to focus on all these new rules, because I know how it works. I understand sort of this sleep, roar experience that it has. I really like all the spirits on this list. In fact, I like most of there's only one or two spirits that I don't love in the game. And even those are fun. The play style is a little different than the kind I prefer. But I really like all 10 of these. And, not all of them are for first timers, definitely, but some of them are. It's also interesting here, right? I mean, Spirit, I believe, came out with Branch and Claw. I think it was even a promo with one. No, it was in Branch and Claw. And which was the first expansion, which kind of came out at the same time as the base game. But we had a really strong base game. I mean, only 3 of these, I think, were from Jagged Earth, and the rest were all either base or Branch and Claw. So, the good stuff is spread out across the game. There's really a lot to love here. A lot of unique characters that you can try. It really, again, it makes Spirit Island feel like nothing else that I know. So anyway, that's kind of what I had to say. That's my top 10 favorite spirits on Spirit Island. We will see you again next week at the same time. I have not yet decided what we're talking about, but I will by next Wednesday. So anyway, go try Spirit Island. I hope you'll enjoy it, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.